You have been told of sin, and you would know how man became a sinner. And you declare, and not without merit, that if man, the image and likeness of God, be a sinner, then God himself must be the source of sin. Therein is a snare for the unsuspecting, and I would not have you, my companion, ensnared. Therefore would I remove this snare from your path, that you also may remove it from the paths of men. There is no sin in God, unless it be sin for the sun to give of its light to a candle. Nor is there sin in man, unless it be sin for a candle to burn itself away in the sun, and thus be joined into the sun. But there is sin in the candle that would not give forth of its light. And when a match is applied to its wick, it curses the match and the hand that applied it. There is sin in the candle that is ashamed of burning in the sun, and therefore would screen itself away from the sun. Man did not sin by disobeying the law, rather by covering his ignorance of law. Aye, there is sin in the fig leaf apron. Have you not read the story of the fall of man? So frugal and naive of word, but so sublime and subtle of meaning. Have you not read how man, when fresh from the bosom of God, was like an infant God, passive, inert, uncreative? For though endowed with all the attributes of godhood, yet, like all infants, was he incapable of knowing, much less of exercising his infinite capacities and talents. Like a lonely seed enclosed in a beauteous vial was man in the Garden of Eden. A seed in a vial will remain a seed, and never will the marvel sealed up within its skin be stirred to life and light, save it be hid in a soil congenial to its nature, and the skin thereof be broken. But man had no soil of his nature to plant himself therein. His was a face nowhere reflected in a kindred face. His was a human ear which heard no human voice. His was a human voice which echoed back from no human throat. His was a heart which beat a lonely unison. Alone. So utterly alone was man amid a world well paired and launched upon its course. He was a stranger to himself, and had no labor of his own, and no set course to follow. Eden to him was what a comfortable crib is to a babe, a state of passive bliss, a well-appointed incubator. The tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life were both within his reach, yet would he stretch no hand to pluck and taste their fruit. For his taste and his will, his thoughts and his desires, and even his very self were all wrapped up within him, awaiting to be slowly unwrapped. He, by himself, could not do the unwrapping. Therefore was he made to yield out of himself a helpmeet for himself, a hand that would help him unwind his many wrappings. Where else could his help be got save from his own being, so rich with help, because so potent with divinity? And that is most significant. Not a new dust and breath is Eve. but the very dust and breath of Adam, a bone of his bone and a flesh of his flesh. Not another creature appears, but the self-same single Adam is made a twain. Thus the solitary unmirrored face acquires a companion and a mirror, and the name unechoed in any human voice begins to reverberate in sweet refrains up and down the alleys of Eden. And the heart whose lonely beats were muffled in a lonely breast begins to feel its pulse and to hear its beats in a companion heart within a companion breast. Thus the sparkle's steel encounters the flint, which brings forth its sparks in abundance. Thus the unlit candle is set alight from both ends. One is the candle, one is the wick, and one is the light, though issuing from seemingly opposite ends. And thus the seed in the vial finds the soil where it can germinate and unfold its mysteries. So does unity unconscious of itself beget duality, that through the friction and the opposition of duality it may be made to understand its unity, and that also man is the faithful image and the likeness of his God. For God, the primal consciousness, projects of himself the Word, and both word and consciousness are unified in holy understanding. Not a punishment is duality, but a process inherent in the nature of unity and necessary for the unfolding of its divinity. How childish to think otherwise. How childish to believe that so stupendous a process can be made to run its course in 70 years and 10, or even in 70 million years. Is it so small a matter to become a god? Long is the course of duality, and foolish are they who would measure it with calendars. Eternity counts not the revolution of its stars.